The next indoor environment quality credit is Enhanced Indoor Air Quality Strategies. This credit applies to the following categories for 1 or 2 points. The intent is to promote occupants' comfort, well-being and productivity by improving air quality. Indoor air pollutants and particulates are brought indoors by occupants through ventilation system intakes or building openings, and from activities conducted within the building. By establishing effective indoor air quality best management practices, building managers can promote a comfortable indoor environment for building occupants and prevent the human health problems associated with poor indoor air quality. These best management practices include the installation of entryway systems, the use of enhanced filtration media, and monitoring strategies for ventilation strategy. Each strategy alone is beneficial, but a combination of multiple strategies is encouraged. There are 2 options to follow: entryway systems and additional enhanced IAQ strategies, each for 1 point. Let's start with option number 1. For the establishment period, have in place permanent entryway systems at least 10 feet long in the primary direction of travel to capture dirt and particulates entering the building at regularly used exterior entrances. Acceptable entryways systems include permanently installed grates, grills, slotted systems that allow for cleaning underneath, rollout mats, and other materials manufactured as entryway systems with equal to or better performance. And maintain all of them on a weekly basis. For warehouses and distribution centers in specific, buildings are not required to provide entryway systems at doors leading from the exterior to the loading dock or the garage, but must provide them between those spaces and adjacent office areas. For the performance part, confirm that the entryway systems have been maintained on a weekly basis. For option 2, additional enhanced IAQ strategies comply with the requirements of at least one of the following: filtration for mechanically ventilated spaces, outdoor air monitoring for naturally ventilated spaces, carbon dioxide monitors, alarmed openings for naturally ventilated spaces, or outdoor air monitoring for mechanically ventilated spaces. We'll go over each of them. Let's start with filtration for mechanically ventilated spaces. For the establishment period, each ventilation system that supplies outdoor air to occupied spaces must have particular filters or air cleaning devices. And these filters or devices must meet one of the following requirements: a MERV of 13 or higher, or class F7 or higher as defined by the CEN standard. And establish a regular schedule for maintenance and replacement of filtrated media according to the manufacturer's recommended interval. In terms of performance, follow the schedule for maintenance and replacement of filtration media. Next is carbon dioxide monitors. For the establishment period, have in place CO2 monitors in all densely occupied spaces. Rooms smaller than 100 square feet are exempt. And CO2 monitor must be between 3 and 6 feet above the floor. And configure the system to generate a visual alarm to the system's operator if the differential CO2 concentration in any zone rises more than 15% above that corresponding to the minimum outdoor rate required in the ventilation section of EQ prerequisite minimum indoor air quality performance. Test and calibrate CO2 sensors to have an accuracy of no less than 75 parts per million or 5% of the reading, whichever is greater. For the performance period, sensors must be tested and calibrated at least once every 5 years, or per the manufacturer's recommendation, whichever is shorter. And monitor CO2 sensors with a system configured to trend CO2 concentrations in intervals no greater than 30 minutes. For the option outdoor air monitoring for mechanically ventilated spaces, during the establishment period, for variable air volume systems, provide a direct outdoor airflow measurement device capable of measuring the minimum outdoor air intake flow for at least 80% of the outdoor airflow. This device must measure the minimum outdoor air intake flow with an accuracy of plus or minus 10% of the design minimum outdoor flow rate required in the ventilation section. Again, an alarm must indicate when the outdoor flow rate varies by more than 15%. For constant volume systems, balance outdoor airflow to the design minimum outdoor flow rate required, and install a current transducer on the supply fan, an airflow switch, or similar monitoring device. In terms of performance, calibrate all measurement devices with the manufacturer's recommended interval. For outdoor air monitoring for naturally ventilated spaces, for the establishment period, provide a direct exhaust airflow measurement device capable of measuring the exhaust airflow. Again, an accuracy of plus to minus 10% is required, and an alarm must indicate when the airflow values by more than 15%. For performance period, calibrate all measurement devices within the manufacturer's recommended interval. Last option, alarmed openings for naturally ventilated spaces. Provide automatic indication devices on all openings intended to meet the minimum opening requirements. An alarm must indicate when one of these openings is closed during occupied hours. There is no performance requirement for this one. In terms of documentation, it seems a long list, but pretty straightforward. If you take option number 1, for entryway systems, provide photos, drawings, or scaled floor plans highlighting the location and measurements, and a confirmation that the entryway systems were maintained on a weekly basis. Now for option 2, remember we had the 5 different subcategories. So depending on which of the 5 you are following, you should provide the documentation that is in accordance with this one. Exemplary performance is available for this credit if you achieve both option 1 and option 2 and incorporate an additional option 2 strategy. So in essence, 2 strategies.